What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch and review for you. So today we're talking about the latest collection from Painted Polish, which is called the Juice It Up collection. But before we get into that, if you haven't heard of Painted Polish before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are fave free, meaning they are free of 5 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So this collection features 7 new nail polishes, and I'm also going to be reviewing a little bonus 8th polish. They're all reflective polishes with a little hollow sparkle running throughout, and they're all in a Crelly finish. So that means they sit somewhere between being a cream and a jelly. Basically, they're sheer enough that you can see the glitters within them, but they're opaque enough that you can wear them full coverage. So let's dive into the swatches, then we can get into my thoughts on them, and then we'll talk pricing, availability, discounts, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Orly Bonder base coat. So we'll go in rainbow order here. The first shade is called Don't Guava Clue, and this one is a dusty Holo Crelly base. So we've got a really nice soft mix between being like a pink and being an orange and having a little bit of that reddish in there, and it's all just slightly dusty, which by the way, I know I mentioned that a lot without kind of explaining what dusty means, but I did recently do a video explaining what I mean when I say dusty, so I'll link it up in the cards. But within that Crelly base, we've actually got this really gorgeous mix of silver and gold flash reactive glitters, as well as a hollow glitter and a teeny tiny hollow flaky running throughout. So it's really soft and sparkly, and I was actually really impressed with the coverage. You could see the first coat actually covered up my visible nail line, but to get that full depth of color, I did need 2 coats, and I love the way that it looked. Next up, we've got Squeeze the Day, and this one is a really vibrant orange Crelly base, again with the same mix of silver and gold flash reactive glitters, as well as the hollow glitter and the hollow sparkle. And this one was actually a 1 coater on me. All of these have that Crelly formula that I described in the beginning of the video, but this one did feel like it was a little bit more opaque than the rest. You can see it really fully covered up that visible nail line and gave me that full opacity in the first coat, but I did do a second just to show you what that looked like. And I will say that I think this color was the most saturated out of all of them. The rest were a little bit on the dusty side, but this one was very vibrant. And then we've got the shade Be Pre-Peared. This one is a soft green Crelly base, again with that mix of the gold and silver reactive glitters, as well as the hollow glitter and the hollow sparkle. And I love this color. It kind of reminds me of that lime color, but again, it just has that slight softness to it, and I just love the juxtaposition of the very vibrant loud glitters with this slightly dusty base that these polishes have. I think that's just such a fun combo. So here it is in 2 coats. It gave me perfect coverage, but it still was a little bit jelly-like, so if you want to fully cover up that visible nail line, you might need a 3rd for this one. Next up, we've actually got 2 very similar blues, but I'll show you a little comparison at the end, and then I'll also just explain the differences that I'm seeing on the nail. This first one is called Get Juiced to It, which, by the way, very underrated pun names here. Very good. I feel like Painted Polish always does very good pun names, but this one is a more turquoise leaning blue, again with all of the same flash reactive glitters and a hollow sparkle in there, and this is just such a beautiful oceanic pool kind of color to me. Again, perfect coverage in 2 coats, and I just loved the intense sparkle on this one. And then we've got the shade I'm Peeling Good, which is the other similar blue, and I do think that next to each other in the bottle they look pretty similar, but on the nail you can see some pretty key differences. This one is a lighter shade of blue. It also has a little bit more of a cooler tone. I would almost describe this one as a sky blue kind of color. It just has that softer bluer undertone to it, but it's still super sparkly. I feel like this Crelly formula is just so perfect for seeing all of the layers of glitter and flaky in there, and it just looks so bright even with indirect lighting, so I love that. Again, full coverage in 2 coats for me. Moving on, we've got the shade Respect Your Elderberries, and this one in the bottle I would describe this as almost a darker periwinkle color. I found this one to lean more blue in the bottle, but I noticed that on my warm skin tone it ended up actually looking a lot more purpley, and I think that that's just something that happens when you're working with a Crelly or a jelly, something something where you can kind of see your undertone through the color, it can sometimes change the way that the color looks. So I actually love this. You know, I love a purple nail polish, so I love that this one leans slightly more purpley on me, but I do think if I wanted to cool it down and make it a little bit more blue toned, I could put on a third coat, but I really enjoyed the coverage and color that I got into. And then we've got the shade Grape Mines, and this one is sort of a dusty, slightly deeper orchid Crelly base. Again, all of those reflective glitters and hollow sparkles in there as well. And I ended up doing 2 coats, which gave me really beautiful coverage. But again, I did notice that this one leaned slightly more pinky toned on me just because of my undertone. But again, I really liked that color. I thought it was really pretty. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of this orchid kind of color for summer 2024, which is so interesting because I always think of it as more of a spring color or even like a fall color, but I'm starting to warm up to it. I'm starting to like it more. And last but not least, we have the shade that is actually not technically a part of the collection, but it was a bonus polish that was released around the same time. And this one is called Good to be Grey-gor. And this one is the same formula as the rest. We've got this gray Crelly base, and then within that we've got the gold and silver reflective glitters, as well as the hollow glitter and the tiny hollow sparkle running throughout. And I was so excited to see this one. It actually reminds me of one of their older shades called That's the Spirit that I don't think is available anymore, but I have gushed about that one a lot, and it's a very similar color and formula. So I was really pleased to see another iteration of that because that is a shade that I always recommend to people, but I don't think that they make it anymore. So love this shade, really beautiful, perfect coverage in 2 coats. And here are all the polishes together. So we've got a really beautiful variety of shades, and I think that they match each other really nicely, having the same formula. So you can wear them in Skittle manicures, which I always think is super fun. And there's a lot of combinations that I think work really well for that. Now, you will notice that there is no yellow, even though we've got pretty much a rainbow going on here. This is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I am actually glad that they did not do a yellow. For whatever reason, we've been getting a lot of yellows this season. Well, I know why we've been getting yellows because it's a summery color, but I feel like I've been disappointed in all of the yellows that we've been getting recently. So I just feel like it wouldn't have worked for me. I don't know why yellows are just not doing well for me lately. So I'm glad that they didn't include that. I love that yellowish green kind of color instead. And I just really like the focus that painted polish tends to have on the blues and purples because there are just so many different varieties that you can play around with those. And they always give us lots of options. So I really appreciate that. So those are the polishes, and I really loved them. I know I mention this all the time, but I really think that Painted Polish is such an underrated brand. I think they have such a good grasp on color theory and creating different colors that work so well with whatever's in them. But this collection is just fun. I love the reflective shimmer. I think it just adds a little extra sparkle to your nails, even if you're not doing flash photography and all that. And of course, having the little added hollow sparkle just makes them even more dimensional and bright. So I think that's really fun. And also, I was really impressed with the opacity on these. I just feel like this is a brand that once you try them, you never want to stop using them because they're such good quality and they're also very beginner friendly. One thing I will note about reflective polishes in general is that they do tend to be a little bit textured. So you might want to wear 2 coats of top coat with these or use a glitter smoothing top coat. I personally like the one from KB Shimmer, so I'll link it down below. So now let's get into pricing and availability. All of these polishes are available on the Painted Polish website. They come in 13.2 milliliter bottles and they do have a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, which makes application super easy. They retail for $12 USD each, but I do have a discount code on the Painted Polish website, so you can use the code KELLI to get 10% off your order there. So I'll link everything down in the description. You can check them out if you're interested. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this collection? Which color is your favorite? And have you tried Painted Polish before? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Rosie, and Rosie wants to know, do you have a sweet tooth or do you prefer salty/savory snacks? I feel like that's a tough question to answer because I do in general prefer savory snacks. Like if I'm in the mood for a snack, it's gonna be something like potato chips or pretzels or something like that. But in general, I have a huge sweet tooth, and I feel like this was honestly kind of a recent development. In the past, I've always been like, oh yeah, like fully a savory person, I don't even need dessert. But now I have such a sweet tooth that I almost always want like something sweet after a meal, which is crazy because I'm sure there's a fun fact in a previous video somewhere where I'm like, oh no, I like to finish on a savory note, but now I very much like to finish on a sweet note. But yeah, I'm curious if my followers are more savory people or more sweet people, so let me know in the comments, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!